Extreme winter camping. How do I do it? How do I stay warm at night? And do I do it on a budget? Oh, you bet I do. I just got back from my winter backpacking trip, and I want to tell you guys how I stayed warm at minus 25, not including the wind chill. That's close to minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe even closer to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit when you factor in that wind. And what did I do to stay warm? Because let me tell you, I stayed toasty. But before we get started, if you're new around here, my name's Jesse, and if you like the outdoors and want to get outdoors more, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss any of the latest gear reviews, outdoor tips and tricks, and some of my own wild adventures along the way. Well, I've got my tent set up, and I'm going to break down the pieces of gear that I used on my last winter backpacking trip that kept me warm down to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit with the wind chill. Let's take a look. Well, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. The very first thing that I had, other than my tent, is one of those typical tinfoil emergency blankets. I think I got this at the Dollarama, which is like the dollar store here in Canada, and I have it folded over twice onto itself. I don't know if that makes a difference. If you know if it makes a difference, tell me in the comments. I just did it because, I don't know, it made sense to me. But then on top of that, I have my Climate Static V insulated sleeping pad, which I love. I take this thing out even in the summer because I'm such a cold sleeper, and that's something you should be aware of. I'm a really cold sleeper. I mean, really cold sleeper. I wish that I wasn't, but no matter what I do, I just can't seem to get warm. And that's why I'm so impressed with this sleep system is even though I'm a super cold sleeper, I was able to stay warm down to such an extreme temperature. So next I had my Teton Altos 20 degree sleeping bag, which is the first down bag I've ever gotten. I'm technically allergic to down, so I've been really risking it, but so far, no problems. I took this is what I had. Of course, I also had my Trekology pillow, which didn't really add any warmth, but definitely added the comfort. Inside my Teton Altos, I had my Sea to Summit Reactor Extreme, which is my sleeping bag liner, which is supposed to add an extra 15 degrees of warmth. It is comfy, it is cozy. I always take my Nalgene bottle, which is right here, put boiling water in it, wrap it around that so it's nice and warm when I get into it first thing in the night. And then I keep my Nalgene bottle in at the foot of my bag, and that keeps me toasty. So that's what I had to keep me warm. And then, oh, I'm not done yet. I had my Teton Leaf 0 degrees sleeping bag to use as a quilt on top of my Teton Altos. So then what I did was I tucked the foot box of the Teton Altos into the Teton Leaf, and that kept my feet really warm. I also wore my boot liners in my bed as well as socks to keep my feet warm, and they were toasty all night. In fact, I had to take off a layer of socks in the middle of the night because my feet were too warm. I also did wear a full base layer as well as a pretty thick thermal top zipper layer, and that kept me warm all night. That with my Nalgene bottle all tucked in, I was toasty. Normally, I tell people one of the things with winter camping is you kind of hit this balance point in the morning where it's so cold in your sleeping bag that you get to a point where you realize it would actually be warmer if I got out of bed, moving and eating some food than it is for me to stay here. And so that's what gets you out of your bed. But that morning, even though it was frigid, I didn't want to get out of bed. I wasn't even remotely cold. I was nice and warm, and it took me an hour and a half to get out of bed, even though I slept from midnight to 10 a.m. Yes, I woke up a few times in the middle of the night, not because I was cold, but because nature calls. What can I say? So I'm super happy with this system. And honestly, on top of all of that, I'm super happy with the price. First of all, this is all gear that I use and will regularly use in the summer and shoulder season. The fact that I can just combine it all together and it's the perfect extreme winter setup is perfect for me. Like, I don't like spending a ton of money on a sleeping bag that I can only use one season out of the year, and instead I'm able to pool all my gear together to use them in every season of the year. That's awesome. That's cost efficient savings. The one thing that this sleeping system is not is lightweight. All together, this entire sleep system weighs over 8 pounds. I'll leave the exact weight on the screen, but that's a heavy sleep system. Now, winter camping is always that way. You just have to carry a little extra weight. It's just that way. But what I loved about this was that it was cost effective. And not only that, all of these pieces of gear are very affordable pieces of gear. This entire sleep system, which, like I said, is something that I use year round, cost me under $400 Canadian. I don't know exactly what that is in American. I'll put the exact prices to all the pieces of gear in American and Canadian on the screen. No matter who you are, this is a fairly affordable sleep system. What makes it so affordable is that it's versatile. It's something that you can use year round. Now, maybe you're a super hot sleeper, so maybe you don't need this full system, but you could probably use the gear that you do have, combine it together in some sort of creative way, and find a system that will take you out into any temperatures that you need it to. If you're curious about my most recent backpacking trip, you can check it up in the cards. I'll leave a link there. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are out having some adventures of your own, and maybe one day I'll see you on the trail.